Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast, Your Fear About What Will Be. And this has been on my mind the last couple of days because on Saturday, I had my first TEDx talk at Thomas Jefferson University. When you do a TEDx talk, you have to prepare for a few months after you're selected, and the entire process was completely joyful. And I noticed, though, as the days got closer to the talk, I started to feel nervous and I started to feel a little stressed, and everyone kept telling me that that was totally normal, that it was something I never did before, and I was trying to memorize my lines. And of course, I used the maybe practice and all my other tools. But the night before the talk, I noticed that it increased even more. And even though I kept going back to maybe, I couldn't understand why it was increasing and increasing. And that morning of the talk, I also felt that way to a point that I didn't know if I was going to remember my lines, my name. And about 30 minutes before I went on, it finally came to me. I realized that the reason my fear and my stress and anxiety increased so much was because I decided the talk needed to go a certain way. And it has nothing to do with desiring it to go a certain way, but we have to let the moment be what it is. So I had gone back to this old way of thinking, being rigid. I had wanted it to go well so badly that I got stuck in that place of certainty, which was beyond ironic because I was about to give a talk about uncertainty. And I remembered what Rumi said about fear. It is the non-acceptance of uncertainty. And the minute I remembered that, I fell into a total state of maybe. It didn't change my desire for wanting things to go well, but the fear left because I realized that it could go many ways. I let go of thinking about the outcome and I became very present. And when I let go of that piece, I remembered what one of my other favorite philosophers said, which is Krishnamurti. And he said, love is the unknowable. It can be realized only when the known is understood and transcended. Only when the mind is free of the known, then only there will be love. And as I fell into maybe, I fell deeper into my heart and I felt a deeper sense of love. And when I connected with that, I realized that even more than the talk, I was surrounded by people that I really loved who came to hear me speak. Both my daughters were there, my brother and his wife, a bunch of my daughter's friends, and another dear friend of mine. And I felt that, and I felt this deep gratitude and appreciation. I felt gratitude for everyone that worked at TEDx Thomas Jefferson, and they were so encouraging and kind. So all of a sudden, I went from this place of fear and nervousness and stress to this place of acceptance of uncertainty, more calm, and a deep sense of gratitude and love. And the only thing that had changed was me letting go of the known, me letting go of the certainty. I realized that maybe it could go well, maybe it would be great, but the only thing that I can control in that moment was my heart, trying to memorize my lines, and knowing what was going to be was going to be. I did my best. And with all that love in the room, I didn't need to know what was going to happen next. And the talk ended up going really well, but because I was in that state, I really enjoyed it. It's funny, the last 24 hours, I stopped enjoying everything because I became so rigid that it needed to be good. It needed to work out. I get why I got that way because these TEDx videos go out and sometimes they become viral and everybody watches them. And I thought, wow, this is a really great platform for people to learn about maybe. So again, I could want that. But when we need it to be a certain way, that is when we suffer. So what a great experience of uncertainty and maybe right before I go on to one of my biggest maybe talks I've ever given. And the reason I bring this up today is for all of us to look at why we live in states of fear sometimes and why we lose that sense of love and why we don't come from that place and we lose that sense of gratitude. And it all always comes down to this non-acceptance of uncertainty. And sometimes we want something so bad, that's okay. It's not the intent, it's not the desire, it's the attachment to it. It's believing if it doesn't go a certain way, we are not going to be okay. Sometimes our passions and our intentions, our desires are so strong that we don't realize that we also bring in suffering, even the best possible moments of our lives, the most exciting, when dreams come true. So what can we do? How can we really work hard towards our goals, have intentions, want things to happen, work hard, and at the same time accept uncertainty, accept that things could happen different ways, that we could be okay in many ways? The first thing we do is we get clear about our intentions and our desires and our passions and our goals. It's always so important to be clear about that, because if we're not, then we're going to get confused when the fear and the stress and the anxiety comes in. We're not going to be able to analyze it the way that we need to. So after we do that, we make commitments of what we're going to do to complete these goals. And also, it's so good to do this in September. It's kind of one of the hardest weeks to go back to work if we're not directed, if we're not clear, if we don't have goals set. The summer's over. We have 4 more months in our businesses to become more profitable, or our children are going back to school, or maybe we put some stuff off. So it's a really good time to also do this exercise. And the thing about writing down your action steps is sometimes it doesn't always feel good to do every step. Sometimes certain steps in our goals are not the most exciting, and they're the hardest to push through. And if we can, we have to do what we said we're going to do. And believe me, I get it. Sometimes it takes a lot of will to complete certain things. So the third thing, ask yourself, do I have fear right now? Do I have stress? Do I have worry? Do I have negativity? And if you do, you write those statements down, and we can call them fear statements. I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to achieve my goal. I'm afraid I'm not going to do a good job. For me, I'm afraid my talk is going to go bad. And then we could separate out the piece. Wait, is this part of the moment? Is this part of my action? Is this part of my intention? Or is this something to do with the future that hasn't happened yet? And then you recognize your non-acceptance of uncertainty. Am I not accepting uncertainty right now? And most of the time you will find that a lot of what's going on with you in the moment is your fear about what will be. And once you do that, once you realize what it is, you separate it out. Then of course you have the maybe practice. You recognize you can't know what's going to happen next. And then you could do the maybe. And for me, once I recognized that need for my talk to go well, I actually said, maybe my talk will go great. Maybe it's going to be fabulous. And maybe if it's not, I'll still be okay. And that let me off the hook, because what happens is we project things so greatly that we don't realize that even if things don't work out the way that we want them to, we still have breath. There's still hope. There's still tomorrow. There's still another maybe. So if you don't get that job, then maybe you'll get another one. If you're not going to hit your profit goals this year, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen next year. Maybe you'll figure it out. Maybe you can still meet someone special if you're frustrated that you're not meeting anybody. You can't know what tomorrow brings. That's the beauty of the unknown. You can't be certain of anything, which means you can't be certain of your fears, your stresses, and negativity. And once that happens, you don't need to know. Your heart opens back up. Because when you need to know, you're in the mind and you're not in the heart. And I always believe you need both operating at the same time. And that kind of fills us up. Because once you're willing to live in the unknown, love comes pouring in and gratitude comes pouring in. And because you're in maybe, you're going to be more creative because you are so open to new ideas and new possibilities. So what's ever bothering you today, what's ever making you stressed or negative or worried, remember you can't know the future, and that's a good thing. Fear and negativity and stress is usually a non-acceptance of uncertainty. And no matter what you do, the uncertainty is going to be there. So why not make it your friend? Why not realize good things happen too? Why not realize you don't need to know? You just need to create an intention and create a plan and keep going back to maybe, because life keeps changing and you have what it takes to achieve your dreams, to fall in love, to get that job, and to know that no matter what's happening in your life today, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe, A Year Without Men, Maybe Everything's Okay, A Parent's Guide to Less Stress and Worry, you can buy them at all major bookstores and online retailers. If you'd like to buy my Maybe cards or my Maybe digital journal, they're available on Etsy and my Stand store. But most of all, if you like this podcast, I hope you subscribe and leave a comment.